Good morning, welcome back to the program. If an election was held last weekend, Labor would have won and Anthony Albanese would be Prime Minister. That's according to the latest news poll at least. With an election to be called within weeks, this poll brings the political reality into sharp focus, and we tend to analyse these numbers a little more closely at this part of the cycle. Polls are retrospective, they're not predictive, and we need to remember that given what happened 3 years ago. Even so, for the first time in 2 years, Anthony Albanese is level with Scott Morrison as preferred Prime Minister, and that doesn't happen very often. Labor also maintains a 6-point lead over the coalition on its primary vote. In the last fortnight, politics has been dominated by the flood disaster, Russia's war on Ukraine, and major defence announcements by the government. But there's been no shift in the underlying support for either major party, and that is a problem for the incumbent government more than the opposition. Live now to Trudy McIntosh in Canberra. Trudy, Labor will be pretty happy to see these numbers ahead of polling day. Take us through it.
Laura, we may not see Anthony Albanese, though, crowing about these numbers today. They will be cautious given what happened to Bill Shorten just 3 years ago. The better PM numbers, though, certainly in his favour today. Since February of 2020, Scott Morrison has always led Anthony Albanese in this news poll metric. Today, now we've seen them tied, a 2% change, giving them neck and neck polling here at 42% each. There's basically stability on the two leading indicators as well. The primary vote shows Labor still ahead with a number in the 4 in front of it, which is crucial for Labor, a primary of 41%, the coalition steady on 35%. There's been some movement in the minor parties. It translates to a two-party preferred vote of 45 for the coalition, 55 for Labor. The government, Laura, is banking on its pre-election budget in around 2 weeks' time to change the needle here. They want voters to be tuned into this conversation as we head into election day. We know there's been certainly a lot on voters' minds.
Let's talk about the swing. It's never universal, but if it was, Trudy, what would happen?
It shows, Laura, that at the moment with these news poll numbers, Labor would pick up 21 seats. It means they'd have a commanding majority on the floor of Parliament. They wouldn't need to rely on independents. We wouldn't see a hung Parliament. What that would mean in terms of seats at play, obviously the ultra-marginal seats would go to Labor, includes places like Bass, Braddon and Chisholm, but even safer seats would be under threat with a primary vote like this and a two-party preferred. Deakin, Flinders, Hasluck, Banks all could go to Labor. The quasi-election campaign continuing today. The Prime Minister will be up later this morning. He's in the Central Coast seat of Dobell in New South Wales. It's currently held by Labor, so he's on the offensive there, trying to pick up that seat. And Anthony Albanese, he's also on the offensive in Townsville in the seat of Herbert. So both leaders doing their best, Laura, to make an impression to voters ahead of polling day.
Yes, they are. And tonight, don't miss a special edition of Paul Murray Live. Prime Minister Scott Morrison joins Paul for a 1-hour pub test, live from the New South Wales Central Coast. This is an unmissable event as the federal election draws closer. That's at 8 p.m. Australian Eastern Time, right here on Sky News.